Okay, this is our project over the debate of Locke and Hobbes by Mallory Watson and Macy Turhian.
What is state of war?
State of war is how people wanted to live their lives without their restrictions.
I believe the state of war is how people struggle over having enough.
I don't think that's true. I think they need to obey certain aspects of their lives and live how they want to.
Well, I believe that everyone is equal and qualified for a lot of their stuff.
I don't know about that. I think people should get along, and they're only going to kill each other if they're not following the laws, and that's the only reason.
Okay, but it's definitely every man for himself, because sometimes people deserve to be killed.
I don't know about that. I think that people should really focus on the laws and living peacefully with one another.
No, people need to fight for their personal survival. It's every man for himself. If they do something wrong, they deserve to be killed for it. Killed for it in not even a peaceful way.
Not even a peaceful way. If everyone just lived without their restrictions, minding their own business, and followed the few laws that there were, then they could live their lives and no one would have to be killed unless they're not following laws.
Well, obviously, there's always going to be people who are not following those laws, and there needs to be some sort of punishment for those people, and I believe that the punishment should just be death.
Give your opinion on social contract.
Social contract. I think it's very important to have a social contract.
I believe that too. Why do you say so?
I say so because I think that the king, there needs to be a king, and he needs to enforce laws to protect people's rights.
I definitely think that people would just give up all of their equality just for absolute power.
But I think people have earned their life, then their liberty, and their property.
Okay, but absolute power allows people to enforce laws for peaceful society.
But absolute power also goes with how you think the king the people can never revolt against the king, where I believe that the people should be able to revolt, and if the king's not following the laws and they're violating their contract that they have, then the king should be able to be revolted against and the people can make a new contract.
Okay, but people don't have a right to revolt against the king because he's in the highest power. So if there's no right and there's an agreement to people not killing the king, then why would people be able to kill him?
Because the social contract itself should be an agreement between the people and the king, not just people and the people themselves. It should be with the king, and they should all be able to get along.
But people are giving up their equality for the absolute power.
But the king should just be enforcing the rules. He's not taking away their powers. They still have their rights. He's just enforcing it to make sure they're all able to get along.
But they agree to giving up their power. So what do they do about that? If they're agreeing to it and they're giving the king the absolute power and there's no right to revolt against it.
But at some point, the king might take advantage of that. And in this one, we can at least have the people revolt against the king. So then the king can be out and the new social contract can come through.
I feel like people can kill the king at any point. So.
How does religion fit in with social contract?
Well, with my social contract, we're a big believer of life, liberty, property, but that also goes with freedom of religion.
I definitely think that religion has the potential for civil war.
But if people all practice their own religion and it has nothing to do with the government itself, then they're all going to get along peacefully.
Yeah, but the king should be who monitors the religious affairs.
But what does the king have that the people can't do themselves? Like, why does the king have to monitor it? In ours,
wow, interruption.
Oh, wow. I see, okay. In ours, everyone just has their own freedom of religion because we are big on people's rights.
But people already gave up their rights whenever they agreed to have a king. That's an absolute
Which is
power.
clearly why yours is wrong.
Well, it could be right if you just listen to my opinions.
If that's what you believe. Back to our debates. So, religion, should be supported by everyone, is my thing, because anyone can believe what they want to.
I believe that the individual should obey the king or face a death penalty. Again, back to death with me, because that's what I like to talk about.
You think everyone can be killed by anyone.
Which they can. And if they deserve to be, they can die.
I hear you, I do. But they should only die if they're not following the laws that have been put into place.
Maybe.
I'm a big believer on supporting that the king should be able to limit that. And as you know, I've talked about it already. But the people, they're all going to follow it because they're the people that put the king in power.
That's true. But if they aren't willing to follow it, then there also needs to be punishments. And punishments, again, need to be death.
I'm sorry you feel that way.